What's going on, alchemists? Welcome to Quasi Astrology. I hope you're all doing all right. Today we're talking about Venus in the first house, what that means in your chart, and what it symbolizes for those who are trying to seek a greater, more profound understanding of the first house and Venus's placement and role here. So, Venus in the first house. What is the first house? Firstly, I think we always need to just go over this because I don't think the first house really is given the amount of importance because there's so many different platitudes about which part or placement of the chart is the most important. Many would say it's the sun house, but usually you only progress into your sun house later down the line, and many would say it's the moon sign, but that's just your emotions, your reactions, the vibrancy of your life. The reason the first house is the most integral position in your chart is it's because it is the conduit. It is where the soul operates through the fabric, the gentle fabric of the cosmic reality and initiates itself here in the physical plane. To put that simply, in layman's terms, without the ascendant, we aren't here. We can't function. We can't do anything without the ascendant. The ascendant is our window of function. It doesn't matter where your sun is and where your moon is. Without the ascendant, there is nothing to ground you. It's like a pencil. You can have a pencil without a head, without any lead on it, an unsharpened pencil, and it's completely useless. However, when you have that piece of lead that allows for contact between the pencil, the tip of the pencil, and the page that it's writing on, that's the ascendant. That's why it's so important, because it's like, okay guys, like, how else are we going to operate here? How else are we going to do things here? So it's always very important to understand the importance of the first house in your chart. Without it, there is no function. Without it, there is no us. But what happens here is that in the way I like to understand it and like to put it when I'm explaining it to people here around me is that the chart is basically the best way to understand it, and the importance of things is by looking at it this way. You have a canvas and the background, and all of the style, the nature of the background depends on who's the chart ruler. The chart ruler is always the planet that rules your ascendant. So if it's a Libran ascendant, you will have Venus here. If it's Cancer ascendant, you will have the moon here. This is the background of your life, the background of your chart. It's not necessarily any of the pictures in it, but just the background, the support. So then the next thing to look for is the solar sign, or basically the position of where your sun is, the Atmakarka. This is the soul's purpose in this life. This is what you're striving to accomplish, but in many cases you don't start out accomplishing this. You have to go through a long road of progression, of development, and different trials and tribulations before you reach that point in your chart. So that's why I put that at 4. The canvas at 5, the sun or your position, your Atmakarka at number 4. Then you get to your Jara Atmakarka in Vedic astrology. This is the planet that basically has the highest degree in your chart. Now this is very important because this is how you're going to get to your soul purpose. How are you going to reach your Atmakarka? This is the nature of what kind of influences you will have throughout your life. And so this is number 3 on the way of understanding it. Number 2 is the moon. The moon has vibrancy. It adds vibrancy to your life. So the picture that you're designing, the canvas, you have the soul purpose. You have the Jara Atmakarka, the way you're going to get to that soul purpose. And the moon adds the vibrancy. But then you move into the whole concept of the ascendant. Now, all of those things you can have in your mind, and you can have the canvas in front of you, but you still need to draw on your starting point. And that is what the ascendant represents, the starting point in our lives. Without it, there is no ability to tread our way through the maze, through the vibrancy of the moon, through the Jara Atmakarka, the directional planet of how we have a progression towards our spiritual purpose. So just remember that the sheer importance of the ascendant is literally everything we are, because without it, we couldn't function. I just want to really drive that home. So when you finally bring Venus in here, you ask yourself, what is Venus? And Venus is the conduit. Venus is connectivity. Without Venus, the energy in this solar system, matter wouldn't be able to operate in the way it's supposed to. What Venus does is she adds connectivity. She adds the conduit, the ability for matter to mix and stick together, for atoms to form into molecules. Because that's what she's about: connectivity, relationships, binding, union. And that's her energy, that's her alchemical rule, that's her alchemical landscape that she offers in this solar system. So when Venus, the alchemist, the planet that revolves around the alchemy of the connectivity and conduits between different aspects and different forms of matter in our universe, comes together and forms in and sits in our first house, which is our entry point into the world. It's our function. You have someone, you find a natal who exhibits this type of energy profoundly. You see in someone who not only is about being and initiating the ability to connect with others, but they are also the conduit. They are node. People gravitate towards them because they represent that sensual connectivity that we all need and know exists underneath the surface subconsciously. And so Venus provides that. Venus gives the native, with this chart part in their chart, the chart holder of Venus in the first house, the ability to represent that and bring that out into the world. They are presenting and showcasing the influences of Venus, the alchemical goddess of connectivity, the conduit, the in-between, the glue stick, the feminine womb that holds things. That's Venus, that's Venetian energy. And so if you have Venus in your first house, which is about your appearance, which is about the initial interaction between who we really are and the world we come into, you see in someone here who's just beautiful to behold. A lot of the time, they are beautiful to behold. They have some sort of grace. Maybe they're not commercially beautiful like supermodels, but there's something about them that is just genuinely perplexing. You just want to look at them because they look so good. You want a piece of that, you know? And so that's what Venus brings into the first house. But beyond appearance, she also brings in the deeper meaning that you are that node. You are connecting people. People gravitate towards you and want to take a bite of you because you represent that ability to draw in matter, to draw in particles and bring them together to form specific molecules. You're the connectivity. In our social landscape, our social realm of human interaction, you're the connectivity. So Venus represents the connectivity in the chart. It represents in particular the connectivity in your life and your ability to be and act as that node throughout life and throughout those you come into interaction with. So just remember the importance of the ascendant and the importance of having Venus here, or any planet for that matter. Your life, your duty, your service is to be a representation of the higher octave of that planet. The influences, the positive, beneficent influences of that planet. There are those who would have Venus in the first house and are all about everyone's looking at me, and I enjoy it. I love it. I'm histrionic that way. I'm narcissistic in that manner. And so they representing the lower octave of Venus, the bad side, the more demonic, physical side of Venus. However, the upper echelon, the octave of Venus, is about being that connective node, and a responsibility that comes with that. Having Venus in your first house is something you chose. It's something you said you were going to learn to work with. You were going to become the alchemist and work with those powers in your first house. And you were going to influence the world and bring it together. So, blessed alchemists, that's the end of the video. Please don't forget to subscribe and drop a like if you enjoyed this one. And drop some comments down below. Get in contact. Let's interact. Let's form a conduit, you know. I'll see you in the next one. Take good care of yourself. Goodbye.